The night was still, the kind of silence that only deep forests knew. Mia Evans tightened her coat around herself, the frost clinging to her breath. She had spent the last 5 years as a wildlife researcher, documenting changes in animal behavior, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. A deep guttural sound rolled through the valley, a cry not of rage, but of something else, something almost human. It sent shivers down her spine, and when she turned towards the source, her flashlight flickered over a pair of golden eyes watching her from the darkness. Mia had always felt an unspoken connection to the wild. Her childhood was spent in the forests of Montana, learning the calls of birds, tracking the imprints of wolves in the snow. But this was different. The eyes that stared at her belonged to something more than an animal, a bear. It stood at the edge of the clearing, its massive form blending into the trees, silent and unmoving, not charging, not fleeing, just watching. Mia's breath hitched. Her instincts told her to back away, to slowly retreat, but something held her in place. A whisper of a thought, a feeling that she was meant to be here, that this moment was meant to happen. The bear let out a slow huff, lowering itself to the ground in an almost deliberate motion. Not a threat, not a challenge, an invitation. The next morning, Mia traced the bear's path deeper into the forest, guided by fresh paw prints. What she found shook her to the core. A cabin, old, worn, barely standing, and inside, a journal. The name on the cover was faded, but the first page made her heart pound. October 12, 1967. The bears are changing. They know things, understand more than they should. The entries detailed years of observations, notes about the same golden-eyed bear she had seen last night, or one eerily similar. The writer, a man named Henry Calloway, had lived here decades ago, documenting something extraordinary. Then, abruptly, the entry stopped. The last page was dated December 3, 1968. The words were smudged, hurriedly written. They are watching. They are waiting. Something is coming. Mia's encounter with the bear became more frequent. It never approached her directly, but remained near, silent, observing. Over time, she began leaving small offerings. Not food, but objects. A smooth stone, a bundle of dried herbs, a carved wooden figure she had made as a child. One morning she found something waiting for her in return. A feather perfectly placed on her doorstep. She traced her fingers over its surface, realization sinking in. They were communicating. Not everyone respected the wilderness. A logging company had been pressing into the valley, cutting deeper into the trees, unaware, or perhaps uncaring, of the ecosystem they were disturbing. The bear's behavior changed. It grew restless, its golden eyes filled with an urgency Mia had never seen before. Then came the fire. It started on a night when the wind was high, flames devouring dry wood like a living thing. Mia barely had time to grab her essentials before running outside, only to find the bear there, waiting. And then it turned, leading her away, deeper into the trees, away from the destruction, towards something she never expected. The cave was hidden beneath a ridge, its entrance almost invisible beneath layers of fallen branches. Inside, the walls were lined with marks, symbols. paintings. They depicted humans and bears together, standing as equals. Some bore weapons, others raised their hands in gestures of peace. And in the center, a golden-eyed bear. Mia's mind reeled. This wasn't just history, it was a message, a forgotten truth buried by time. The bears had always watched, always protected. And now it was her turn. With the fire raging and the loggers pushing further into the forest, Mia knew she had to act. She gathered what evidence she could, sent reports to environmental agencies, called in every favor she had. The bear was there when the first officials arrived, standing at the tree line like a silent sentinel. It watched as the trucks left, as the flames died, as the forest breathed again, and when it finally turned to go, Mia felt the weight of its gaze one last time. Knowing look, a promise. Months passed, but the memory of that night never left Mia. She dove deeper into Calloway's journal, uncovering more secrets hidden in its pages. He had spoken of others before him, generations of watchers who had been chosen, unknowingly stepping into a role that was older than time itself. Each had formed a bond with the bears of the valley. Each had protected them, and in return, the bears had protected something far greater: balance. Mia knew she was part of something now, something vast, something sacred. Mia remained in the valley, dedicating her life to its protection. The bear was never far. She would glimpse it sometimes, on a ridge near the river, a shadow in the snow. It had chosen her, just as it had chosen Henry Calloway before her. And one day it would choose another. Because the silent watchers never truly left. They waited, they watched, and when the time came, they acted, just as they always had. This story is a testament to the unseen connections between humans and nature. In a world where technology often distances us from the wild, perhaps we need to remember the watchers, the ones who have been here long before us and will remain long after.